Welcome back.
Hello.
Yes, welcome back to the SqueekyDogCast. Jade, how are you?
We're back on form. I just woke up.
Oh yes. Last week was an anomaly where Jade had been awake. You actually hold on. So the Factorio streams, are you still going with them because you launched the rocket?
So at this point, I have less stress about the Factorio stream, should I say.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We're now post-game.
Yeah, so now it's just like chill out. Like, oh, I don't know what to stream. I'm gonna stream
Build
Factorio.
the factory,
Yeah.
something to jam with Ansari.
Yeah, that's chill. That's chill.
And you won't
Yeah.
believe, Ansari actually went longer than me.
Really? Oh fuck! I forgot to turn off Steam Do Not Disturb. I always do this.
Hey.
I always do this. I'm actually not
Yeah.
surprised by that. Oh god, I'll open up over here also.
Okay, by about 10 minutes.
Oh, 10. Well, that's whatever.
Because she wanted to finish something first before logging off, but it was already like, what was it, like 10 a.m. here?
Oh wow.
And I was like, listen, Ansari, I gotta go. I gotta
That
go
would have
sleep.
been 8
I gotta
a.m. for me.
record. I gotta
Wait. Oh.
fucking collabed tonight. I got like
Right.
shit to do, Ansari. I gotta go sleep now or my entire day is fucked.
Right.
And so I actually called it.
Wow.
I
How
have
responsible
beaten
of
the
you.
addiction.
Responsible. Good for you.
I
You did a
know.
good.
I launched a rocket
You did launch
and
a
then got
rocket. The first
I
time in your
first got
Factorio
nuked.
career. Oh yeah, nuke. That was funny. That was funny.
It was fucking awful.
It was hilarious though. It was a
Like
really funny clip.
you've started playing Factorio.
You know, I died inside at the idea of having to like lose everything. Like if I was in your situation, I think I would have ended stream and like just give it up. Like I would have
No,
edited
you
after the
see,
rocket.
it took me like another, what should I say, 40 minutes to get my
That's a long time.
Spidertron up and running and kitted out again.
That's a long time.
Not really.
Alright, suppose.
Like I didn't lose my armor. I didn't lose all the stuff that I had equipped.
That's
That was
true.
cool.
That's true.
But it was Halloween.
It was Halloween, yeah. I was gonna try to segue to that, but I didn't know how. Yes, this is a late happy Halloween to everyone. I forgot. I was like, the other day, I was like thinking, like I was at work, and I was like, oh wait a minute, our next podcast episode will be after Halloween, and our previous podcast episode had nothing to do with Halloween, so we didn't talk about Halloween, but you know, it's November 1st right now.
It is November 1st right now.
I didn't really have a
November
wonderful
1st for 18 hours for me.
Yeah, well, for me, it's been for 12 hours. Yeah, my Halloween was like, alright. Me and Jade were, like, we watched Nightmare Before Christmas together, and that was fun. But then after that, I was, like, just kind of alone all day. It was great. And then after that, I was just kind of alone all day, and I was like, damn. This kind of sucks. We did.
We listened to the metal cover soundtrack. Just like on a music side note, people need to go listen to that.
I mean, not the whole thing. there was a few in there. I was like, meh.
Look, All American Rejects to man.
Yeah,
It was just
I was not into that. But like the Marilyn Manson, This Is Halloween, and Korn. What's the song called? Kidnapped Santa Claus.
Kidnapped the Santa Claus.
Those two are really good.
It's such a Korn vibe.
It is.
Like when you watch the movie, you're like, "How does Korn do this?" And then you hear Jonathan Davis.
I see now. But yeah, Halloween. It was cool. My town does a Halloween parade on Halloween Day. So the actual trick-or-treating day for all the kids going by is the 30th, and then the 31st is a parade. And like I've been in this town for 6 years, and I've never been to the parade once. But it's apparently a really big deal. Like everyone I know was always like, "Oh, you going to the parade? Oh, you gonna be in the parade this year?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm just gonna go home." Or like we're going with my family to another town to trick or treat because like it's Halloween. I'd rather like dress up in my costume and go out
You
doing
go
the
to another
Halloween
town to
things.
trick or treat.
Like a town over. And like when we were kids, when I didn't live in this town, we lived like two towns over. What would be the Halloween meta would be to go to this town, the town I'm in now, on the 30th when everyone's trick or treating, and then go to your own hometown on the 31st, so that it's like 2 days of trick or treating.
You cheeky fuck.
That's what we did when we were kids, because it was like
You know,
free trick or treating day.
I do wish that trick or treating was more of a tradition here as well.
Yeah, I mean it's
Like
like kind of
we
dead
don't.
over in America.
Yeah, but South Africa doesn't even have like Halloween stores.
Yeah,
Like, if I had to think of a costume store now, I don't think I know where one
Party
single
City.
costume store is at all.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, the thing with
Like,
costumes are, it's actually just more fun to home make them anyway. So just go to a Goodwill or
yeah, that's what I
go to a
do.
secondhand store.
But the tradition for Halloween here is pretty much like say something spooky in October.
Spooky,
That's like Halloween.
spooky, spooky. I love Halloween.
We got the goths that do their Halloween parties here. I went to a couple of
Hell
those
yeah.
over the years.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Um, rocked out my skirt, my
Oh, wonderful.
full gothic outfit.
You still need to show me you in full gothic outfit.
It's been a while. I still remember the one night I was out. Somebody came up to me and just like, "You are so beautiful and so brave and just so wonderful." And then they wandered off, and I was like, "Okay, I guess drinks here are good." Or the
uh,
weirdest thing one of the people ever said to me was like, "Look like the love child of Marilyn Manson and Kurt Cobain."
is that a compliment?
Well, I mean, this was like a 40-something-year-old goth lady, so I
Oh, that is a
assume it
compliment.
was a
Okay, that is a
compliment.
compliment. Because like that could
Just
that's
like
that same sentence could be said by like a 40-year-old goth woman or like a 60-year-old boomer, and they mean the complete opposite things.
true. But I would feel like the boomer wouldn't know who Manson or Cobain is.
No, they would if they're musically if they're like, and I feel like they would because Marilyn Manson has like a lot of like outrage. I mean, some of it justified, with like um some pretty heinous acts. But like anyway, but my point being like Manson gets a lot of the spotlight. Kurt Cobain had a lot of spotlight.
I live in Africa.
Oh, true. I was thinking of America. Well, never mind.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little different.
A boomer in America would know who Manson is because it would be somebody they'd have gotten angry at over the last 50 years.
And then
Like,
gotten turned around after Manson became a saggy old fucking fart
because he
bag.
started looking like Nicolas Cage.
No, Nicolas Cage looks better. Nicolas Cage is like
Like,
a look to him. I like
like,
Nicolas Cage. I love Nicolas Cage.
let's be real, right?
Right.
There's like specific images where you're just like, what happened to you? Like, what happened?
They literally look like a fucking like a
Like,
melted
what
person.
happened to you? I still know that in his early career, he was seen as like fucking hot. Like,
I never thought that ever.
in the sort of alternative way. Remember, I come from like gothic and industrial
Yeah, I
culture.
know.
Like
Even
Manson's
then,
pretty
not
tame.
I know, but like compared to everyone else, I just don't think
I
Manson
mean,
did it for me ever. Like there are people who do it better than Manson. I don't know. Maybe it's
yeah,
because of like I can't look back now because I know what he looks like now, and I just can't like go back. Oh, that's cute. I like that.
this like Manson really did used to look fucking good, and now
Like, he
he's
looks
ended
good
up
there,
looking
and then
like a
it's
fat Nicolas Cage. Like it's awful. It's
anyway.
actually awful.
The Halloween parade. Funny story connected to it. So my brother was in it because he volunteers in an animal shelter. And the animal shelter is located like based in our town. So, they had a little section for the parade. They had a float. It was cool. It was like but we didn't actually go to it in person. We weren't going to actually support my brother. We were just going to support him from afar and find the YouTube stream of the video of the parade. It was really fucking hard to get a stream of this parade. We had to go to our town's like there was two streams of it. One from the Asbury Park Press, which is like the biggest press, like the biggest news site in New Jersey, I'm pretty sure, or at least the biggest like that covers like local events that aren't just politics. Like if you see the Asbury Press somewhere, it's most likely like gonna be a fucking music venue or like a local town event or something. Anyway, we had there a thing up, and we also had our town's school district stream up because they were the only two people streaming the parade. And the one from the town's school, both of them were fucked up. Both of the streams didn't work. The school one had the starting soon screen. I'll have to show you these afterwards because I don't want to dox myself and show the town on stream. But like the starting,
Side note,
yes,
my stream last night with Ansari,
yeah,
full 30 minutes on the starting soon screen.
Jesus, how'd that happen? What? Huh? Well,
Nobody fucking said anything. Like, it
no.
doesn't even have gameplay. Like, my starting soon doesn't have gameplay. Yeah. I feel that parade vibe when you said, like, starting soon screen. I'm like, God.
I streamed for an hour one time with no audio, or was it 2 hours? It was 2 hours with no audio on my game because nobody said anything. It was like the last. It was Resident Evil. Yeah.
Yeah, watch the VOD.
Yeah.
You think when I don't show up to your streams, like I still watch your VODs.
Oh, I know. I know. Anyway, the Halloween parade, the one from our school district, they had the starting soon screen up. Like this, we were watching this. Like this parade started at 7, and it was 7:20, and we're still trying to fucking find a live stream of it. And we find the school stream one, and it's 5 minutes long, and it's all the starting soon screen with the audio of the parade and a guy coughing, and like that's it. And then it ends, and we're like, "What the fuck?" And then we go to the Asbury Park Press one, and it's like it just stays at the same like loop here of like you click on the video, you see a cop car, like you see the parade going on. It's like the police and then a fire truck, and then it ends, like it buffers and it never loads again. And then no matter what you do, you close it, reload it up, it's that same buffer there. And it's like, what the fuck? And it took us like 20, 30 minutes, and eventually the Asbury Park Press one started to work. And I'm like, okay, good, we can see the parade. And the cameraman, oh my god, I don't know what the fuck he was doing. It's like Cloverfield. You know in Cloverfield when he's like zooming in on things that don't matter? And he's like walking around, like not paying attention to like the main focus of what's going on. It's like that. It's like he was walking around with a phone in his hand, zooming in at the audience, like the people sidegoers. By the way, all of them looked like inbred rednecks. Like they all looked like pudgy fucking like you say American. That's what comes up in your brain is what the people looked like when they were walking around. They were bloated sacks of freedom. Nobody was in costume. It's crazy. Like there was barely anybody there to celebrate Halloween. It just looked like you could just tell me this is a Memorial Day parade and I'd believe it. Some of the parade floats are pretty cool. There was one guy in the parade who had his son in a wheelchair, and they dressed him up to look like Zoltar. You know Zoltar? You ever see the movie Big?
No.
Okay, so this is like a boardwalk thing, I guess.
Under the boardwalk.
It's one of these things.
Oh yeah, I
There
know
was
Zoltar.
yeah there was a guy there with his son in a wheelchair. He dressed him up like this. He put the box over the wheelchair, and he had
That's a
like
pretty bomb costume, not gonna lie.
and it had like you could see the oxygen machine on the back, and that's the only way I knew it was a real person. I thought he was just wheeling around a Zoltar machine. It was like his kid was sleeping, and I was like, oh my god, this is both hilariously grim and like a really bomb costume.
I don't know if I were in a wheelchair. That I feel like that'd be a pretty bomb costume idea.
Yeah, but I don't think the kid was like I think he had like ALS. Like I don't I don't think the kid like consented to the costume.
ALS. That's that.
That's the one where you're like completely like
where they throw the ice on you, right?
no, that's the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, please. That's like
Yeah.
a fucking lifetime ago.
I'm old. Fuck you.
I know, but like I'm saying it about me as well. Like I was around for that. Like I remember that
That
very
is not
vividly.
old.
It feels like a lifetime ago though. That was like 2013.
All
Well,
I know is like Game of Thrones was really big because they had a bunch of those people doing it.
I remember Donald Trump did it and he challenged Homer Simpson. 2015?
Yeah.
Oh, this is like earlier. Oh no, 2014. July to August 2014. And they reintroduced it in 2015. So this is 2014.
Yeah. Did you do this?
I did not, but my parents did.
Your parents did.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool of them.
Yeah. I remember seeing
I don't get. I don't. Yeah.
yeah, I
I never. I
remember.
never did this. I never did this.
Yeah. I don't think
ALS sounds. It truly sounds awful
it's
because
Lou
like
Gehrig's disease, yeah. It used to be called Lou Gehrig's
yeah,
disease.
you think like Lou Gehrig would have known with a name like that, but um
How did he not know he was
no.
gonna get Lou Gehrig's disease?
How did he not know? That was an actual bit by a comedian years ago.
Yeah, it's funny.
Um,
That's a funny joke. Yeah,
when I
ALS sucks.
this is probably a bit of a deep cut, yeah, but when I was in the institution,
Jade
I
lore.
they like teach you these skills on how to cope with shit. And one of the things is like cold water to use to regulate yourself, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, I've heard of that.
And so they have like these things where they make you go through the different ways of regulating yourself. And one of the things is to put your face in like an ice bucket of water. Like just put your face
Oh,
in iced water. The
yeah.
thing is that I handle iced water the same way a cat would. So I spent all of 3 seconds in there, pulled my face out. I said, "Fuck you all. I'm not doing this." The ice bucket challenge would kill me. I really do feel for people with Lou Gehrig's disease because if that's what it feels like, fuck, like your strength and to just not fling yourself off of like high places. Jeez.
uh, yeah, but no, hold on, wait. The parade. That's what we were talking about. The
Ooh.
parade. Um, yeah, no, it was just the cameraman was just like bobbing his head around. It's like Evil Dead fucking camera, but like in a parade with a bunch of lights and also like on accident. It's hilarious. He was like just like there was like kids getting yelled at and shit by their moms, and he was like zooming in on it. Like, what are you doing, dude? You're part of the Asbury Park Press. What are you doing? It's like a guy stole the camera and started like recording. It was hilarious. But we saw my brother and stuff. It was fun. It was cool. The parade itself though is trashy as fuck. Like this was like, I won't exactly say how big the parade is, but it's one of the biggest parades in the world for for Halloween. And I'm like, really, really, this is it. This is the parade. This is the parade. Are you kidding me? It makes me scared to see the biggest. The biggest in the world is in Greenwich Village in Manhattan.
Greenwich.
Greenwich. Well, if it's spelt Greenwich, but
I know, I
yeah,
know.
New Yorkers,
This look, New
Walkers,
York is uniquely fucked in that it's a city, New York, in the state of New York, bordering on a town called Newark. The fuck
Newark,
is wrong with you people?
and to New Jersey inhabitants is actually pronounced Newark. Newark is pronounced Newark, like Newark, up to Newark.
You live in an awful
I
country.
don't live in an awful country. I live in the best part of the country. Let's be real here. Let's be real. I live in the best part
Look,
of the
I
country.
will be honest with you.
Maybe besides
You know,
Minnesota.
you know very much for me that I've followed American stuff for a while, right?
Yeah, yeah.
New Jersey was really not not high up on my list. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it's because of this. Think of it like this: New York, New York City is
New
right
York's
across the
not high up
river,
on my
right?
list.
Right across the river from us, right?
Mm.
Every state has their rivalries, right? Ohio and Michigan, California and Texas. What was another one I was thinking? Oh, Missouri and Kansas. I'm pretty sure have a rivalry, right? Every state's got a rivalry or something. New Jersey and Pennsylvania have a rivalry, and those are all level playing fields. But with New York and New Jersey, New York City is like the biggest cultural output city in the world, right?
Yeah.
So many comedians, so many writers, so many like
There's a
artists are
film
from New
industry,
York.
there's a television industry,
Film industry
there's
started in New Jersey. The first the first film studio was in New Jersey. But then Thomas Edison, who is based also in New Jersey, was really anti-Semitic and wouldn't let Jewish people use his cameras. So he would sue them. So they're like, "Fuck it, we'll just go to California." And they started Hollywood. And since back then it was kind of really hard to sue someone if they were on the other side of the country, Edison didn't bother suing them over there. And that
Edison's such an ass.
Edison fucking sucks. I hate how we kind of stopped worshiping because Edison used to be one of those big names for New Jersey.
I
Because
know
we have a
you hear
city named
Edison a
after him.
lot from Americans in general.
We have a city named after Edison. Edison, New Jersey. I have family who live up there. A lot of Indians up there. Yeah, but we kind of like stopped the dick sucking of Edison. Now we just suck the dick of like Bruce Springsteen and Whitney Houston. Those are the two that are everywhere for New Jersey.
I really do hope that after watching some Kevin Smith
Oh,
movies,
I'm sure like
I'll
understand.
Appreciate the culture of like small town New Jersey boy makes movie.
What was it saying?
The Parade.
Oh no, I was saying New York. New York
New
has
York.
New York has all these people who are like really famous. Like a lot of famous people come out of New York. We don't really have anyone in New Jersey, right? Like comparatively so. Like we have famous people come out of New Jersey, but like the famous people come out of New Jersey either don't give a fuck about New Jersey, like Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck's from New Jersey, right? Is he?
Yeah,
He is. Yeah,
Affleck loves Jersey.
yeah, but he never really like represents Jersey, right?
He used to, but his career got too big.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but New Yorkers will still represent New York when they're huge and stuff. Like, and like because of that, so many movies will just be able to casually throw a diss at New Jersey because the writers are from New York. But there's never really any writers from New Jersey who throw disses at New York because typically their boss is from New York and they're like, "Nah, buddy, you're not doing that." So New Jersey doesn't have any representation of shitting on New York. All the representation is New York shitting on New Jersey. So because of that, everybody thinks when they think of New Jersey, they think of like New Yorkers shitting on it. So now we have like this idea that New Jersey's like a shithole. But like that's just average state rivalry, but so like misleveled. There's no level playing field.
Because like Jersey has the Sopranos, though.
It does have the Sopranos, and the Sopranos I haven't seen.
But then again, New York has NYPD Blue, Blue Bloods,
all the cop shows.
A lot of propaganda.
Yeah, because the New York NYPD is like the biggest police force in the world, I think. And it's
didn't the LAPD just beat the shit out of a bunch of people?
I think the LAPD might be the biggest in the world. I forgot about LA. Either LAPD or NYPD are the biggest in the world. Probably LAPD because LA's fucking hell on earth.
I feel like LA also, like New York is confined to like that island in the area, whereas LA is far more outspread.
Yeah. LA has a lot more room to grow. Well, that's why LA also is like no high rises. LA is like all like 4-story buildings or single family homes. LA is like the worst city on earth.
As far as I can tell, there is no more awful a place to live in the USA than LA.
Probably like Houston. Probably like fucking. Well, if we're talking about quality of life, major cities
is apparently very like blue.
Yeah, every city's blue. But I'm talking like Texas. Texas has like Houston has like the same issues LA has. Houston is like the worst city in the world when it comes to like car dependency. Like the entire city's a parking lot, from what I've heard. Houston's pretty bad. Houston's pretty bad, but then again, Houston doesn't get nearly as much complaints. But then again, LA also gets a lot of complaints because a lot of celebrities live in LA. So like you see a lot of celebrities complain. Like there's like more said about LA than Houston, but I'm sure people who say bad shit about Houston probably
The
are
thing
more
is
vitriol to
that when
spit.
it comes to Texas, and I'm sure you'll know why when I say it, but I know far more about Austin than Houston.
Because Austin's the capital, and also like where a lot of well,
Mm,
also like a lot of tech people go to Austin.
where Rooster Teeth was
Rooster
based.
Teeth was in Austin. Um,
And they would talk constantly about the fucking traffic,
yeah,
about the parking,
and now yeah
about like
nowadays
commuting.
Austin is like kind of like a hipster city, like Portland, Oregon.
Do you think Rooster Teeth is somewhat to blame for that?
I think Rooster Teeth was part of the first wave of why that happened, but I don't think they're at like fault at all. But like Austin
The
had like
first
huge
wave, that makes
the
sense.
first wave of like people going to Austin, and then like from there more people went to Austin. Like how a lot of like YouTubers you'll see go to LA. A lot of YouTubers now go to Austin. It's partially because Texas has like a lot of tax breaks and stuff because it's a red state.
Yeah.
Whereas LA has a lot more taxes. Like
You can
LA,
tell where the best taxes in America are by where the richest people live.
Texas. All the rich people are moving to Texas right now
Yeah.
because they're cutting the
And,
taxes
and
down.
the state versus Fed thing in
Yeah.
America is kind of weird to me when there is really no other country in the world that
Oh,
comes to mind that
no.
does
Very
anything
unique.
similarly.
It's very unique. And I think it has some pros, but also like a lot of cons. It only has pros in the context of like the Republican Party existing at a federal level, because it means that the states, because like the Republican Party's on paper support states' rights. So a lot of the times you'll get blue states being able to be more progressive than like the government is. So like that's the only pros I really get. But if the Republican Party didn't exist and it was only like a Democrats as the furthest right party, then I'd be fine with like no state like autonomy. Like I'd be fine because then it's like, oh, the furthest right we get is the Democrats. Fucking fine, yeah, go for it. Because like the states' rights things, it doesn't need to exist. It doesn't really need to. I mean, I get
It doesn't.
it doesn't. I mean, it's America. The thing is, America is the third biggest country in the world.
Yeah.
So like and like land size too. America's a really big country, so I do get like splitting up areas into locally managed.
Yeah,
Um,
all countries do that with either provinces,
yeah, but
states,
and like giving them more autonomy though. Like
prefectures.
every other country that really does that, except for India and China, is smaller than America and stuff. So like
Fair.
I don't like. I mean like I don't know. It's really
The
it's a
thing is,
non-issue. It's a non-issue to
the
me. Like
here's the
it's not
thing though,
something
right?
I'd fucking. But
Here's where my understanding falls off. Or let's more say my understanding of why human beings decided it should work this way. And that is the fact that you're all Americans, right?
Mhm.
You're all under this American flag. And all of you say, I have these rights as an American. But if I walk 3 feet in that direction, I have less rights. And if I walk 3 feet in that direction, I have more rights. Like, it's just, it doesn't. It, like, I understand trying to separate your country into like smaller, more manageable blocks. But if you're trying to give each of those blocks their own set of rights, what you're going to end up with is a confusing system that will fuck your shit up.
Right.
And like you got people who
Abortion rights.
like no, like something stupid like Tommy Chong. What do you know why he went to prison?
Because he did. Wait, so Tommy Chung's Pawn Stars, right?
No, Tommy Chong is from Cheech and Chong,
Oh, I'm stupid. I
the
thought you were saying a different
comedy
name. I
duo.
thought you were saying a different name.
Probably. Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
The
Yeah,
guy,
Tommy
yeah.
Chong was the comedian, the stoner comedian guy.
Yes, yeah, Cheech and Chong.
Right. Do you know why he went to prison?
No, I don't.
So he was charged with transporting drug paraphernalia over state lines for sale.
Hmm.
Here's the thing. He didn't have any stake in the company that sold the bongs with his face on it. He didn't touch the company. In fact, the company was owned by his son, who had and he had no input. He was not he just allowed his son to use his face on his bongs and sell them. And then the FBI raided Tommy because it was a reason to raid the drug guy.
That's like
And he ended up
evil.
in prison. It is evil,
That's
but
really
that's what
evil.
you get when you like stupid things like that happen when you don't consider your country as one thing. It's also very divisive. Like in South Africa, for example, right? Like more or less the situation with Western Cape and the rest of the country.
Yeah.
Like Western Cape is functional and the rest of the country is sometimes not as much.
Right.
But we have the same laws.
Yeah, yeah.
We have, like, things are run a little differently in the way that, you know, there's more transparency with how government works in the Western Cape. We dedicate resources towards a local police force in Cape Town, separate from the national police force. We're the only province that does so. There's nothing preventing the other provinces from doing so, other than the fact that they can't afford it.
Right, right. I could.
So,
Oh,
no, but like that basically comes down to we are all still, no matter where I go here, I have the same rights, the same abilities, the same everything. But it doesn't make sense why the US would want to split their laws up the way they do. And I
I,
think it very much comes down to states' rights, and it's part of the civil, a leftover sort of vestige
I can.
of people still trying to defend the wrong side on the Civil War.
I could give you the exact reason as to where it comes from and why we still have it.
Yeah,
So the reason why we had the states is because of the colonies. Each state, there was 13 colonies,
yeah,
and they then when the revolution happened, they were like, hey, we all want independence, so we'll just become one country, but all of us will maintain the same autonomy we have now. We're not gonna crush, we're not gonna overpower each other. We're just gonna come together and make a country of us. And that was how they got like certain states, like certain colony like representatives to like say like, yeah, sure, we'll join you. Um, when the war was won and the independence, blah blah blah, all the country's independent now. All the states were like, "Hey, we don't want to curb how much freedom we currently have, because like we want to remain how we're doing everything right now. But we'll answer to like a person above us. But I don't want to have to like answer to New York if I'm Georgia. Basically, is what was going on. So
fair enough.
so then that all happened, and what happened was culturally, most people saw themselves as like from Kentucky or from Maine rather than being from America. And this was basically how everything was until the Civil War. It's one of the things that led into the Civil War was like, we aren't Americans. We're Dixie, you know. We have our way of life, and we're not gonna let no Yankees tell us to stop having humans in bondage, right? We're like all those Yanks up there. Like it was more like divided by like state lines rather than like American federal. And then afterwards, the Civil War redefined the relationship between the federal government and the state government. The federal government like reined in and started taking control. Because if you look at American politics before then, the president was just kind of a guy. You could walk into the president's office and be like, "Hey, man, I'm from Kentucky. Can I speak to you?" And he's like, "Yeah." Like that's basically how it was. There was no like nobody really like the president had power, but he wasn't the most powerful man in the country. Like he was mostly just like a kind of like a guy at the head taking over federal issues and stuff. Whereas after the Civil War, the president was like the president. Like he was
Well, I mean, as
the
far as I
deciding figure in
understand,
most things.
up until the Civil War, no president had used as much presidential power as
Is
Lincoln.
besides Jackson, yeah, but Jackson did it so that he could kill the Native Americans. like
Okay,
Jackson usurped Congress in order to pass like laws that would kill Native Americans. if I remember correctly. So yeah, like yeah, Lincoln was like the first president to really rein in and like do president stuff that we like remember, like that we know for president stuff like nowadays.
Yeah, but to like pull the whole country in a certain direction,
Yeah,
regardless
yeah,
of what the country has to say about it. Like
yeah. That was Lincoln. That would be
that,
Lincoln.
like Lincoln was the first, in my mind at least, that
And yeah,
really did that.
yeah, and even then, like after the Civil War, it's not like things were like how they were now. Like afterwards, politically, the Republican Party, which was Lincoln's party, and back then it was like a leftist party. Um,
Yeah, they
they
flipped in the
after
early
Link, no, no, well,
1900s,
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
they?
that
Or
was like
late
that was
1800s.
basically like the official, like unofficial, official flip. But like they kind of started that flip in after Lincoln. Lincoln was like the only president to really be like a leftist Republican, because after he died, his vice president was Andrew Johnson, and he was very much, if he wasn't a Republican, he would have been a Southern Democrat. That motherfucker had so much like, you know, we'll lighten up on Reconstruction. You know, let's not punish them too hard.
Oh,
And that's the reason why Reconstruction sucked ass, because of Andrew Johnson. He fucked the whole thing up. And after him, actually Grant would have been the last leftist one, because Grant was a Republican like how Lincoln was. The issue with Grant is that he really, really, really liked nepotism. He really liked promoting his friends into office. That was called the spoils system. Um, he really liked putting his buddies into office, and that was like a big controversy for his presidency. And I'm pretty sure that's what didn't win him re-election. Though he might, no, he was a one-term president. He was one-term president. And then after him, the next president, Hayes, took a bargain to end Reconstruction to like stop some like obstructionist like policies being made in the South or whatever. I forget the specific details, but like basically he. Oh, I remember what it was. I remember what it was. I remember what it was. He like tied the election or whatever the fuck, or like some electors were withholding the vote. There was some election fuckery, and in order for him to actually be inaugurated, he had to end Reconstruction. Like it was like a bargain or something because of some fuck up that happened with the presidency where he wasn't supposed to win. Like he lost the popular vote but won the electoral vote or something. I forget the details. Um,
so that
but his
does that.
presidency starts like the modern republicanness where like they started talking about big businesses and like, oh, we should like keep hands off, let the states do their thing and let the federal government only be used to like do foreign diplomacy and the mail. Like that's all the government will do. Let the states do everything else. And that's kind of like how the Republican Party got started today, is like with that.
Small
But
government.
the Democrats were still like racist as fuck. The reason the party switch stuff happens when the Democrats were no longer racist as fuck, and the Republicans took over the racism role. That's basically what the party
Yeah.
switch in the 1900s was. Like that's when FDR was the first leftist Democrat. Because he was like doing the New Deal. He was probably the most leftist president we ever had, was FDR. The New Deal
I
was
think
basically like socialist policy in a lot of instances.
yeah. I would use the word progressive instead of leftist, but
Progressive,
yeah,
but I consider
progressive.
progressives to be leftists, like in a sense, like they're left of the center. Like
True, because the opposite of progressive in that sense would
would
be
be a
conservative,
conservative.
which would you what you would equate with the right.
Yeah,
But I think leftist has other
yeah,
implications that
leftist
I don't
implies
think.
socialist, but
Yeah, so I think
they're
more
left leaning.
progressive,
Progressive. He was
left-leaning
definitely the most
progressive.
progressive president we ever had.
Do you think there is a progressive right-leaning possibility?
That would be populism.
Possibly.
Yeah, like it would
But
be like
that
a
being
right wing
said,
populist.
we don't have a ton of time on this
No, we don't.
podcast,
The election.
and this is the last podcast before
Oh
your country
God,
does the election.
you're right.
This is the last moment you
Ah,
have as a free puppy
or a Kamala puppy. All
or
right,
comrade puppy, apparently.
Comrade Harris. Okay, so in a week, no, less than a week, in 5 days is
On
the
Tuesday.
Tuesday. It's currently Friday. On Tuesday, so that's
This is
the
gonna
rest of the
come
day.
out 2 days before.
Rest of the day today. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, 5 days, counting today, until the election. If you don't count the day, it's 4 days. So, oh God, I think I'm looking hopeful to Kamala right now. I don't think Trump's gonna win. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. Um, because
So the
We,
two
it's,
biggest things I'm seeing right now,
yeah.
right? At this late stage, forgetting everything from the past, just this late stage, what I'm seeing is a lot of coverage of Trump falling the fuck apart.
Yes. Because he kind of
And
is.
a lot of coverage of right wing people going, Kamala is boring, Kamala doesn't do this. Like, just straight
I
lies
can
sometimes.
I can
Just because
tell
they got
you.
nothing.
I can tell you the biggest thing right now in the election cycle right now is that Madison Square Garden rally, where it
I
was just
imagine
open
so.
Nazi talk. It is
That
really.
comedian has come up in my shorts a couple of times, and the motherfucker's not funny.
He's not funny at all. He's really not
Like,
funny. There's a big
he's
floating
really
pile of
not
trash out in
funny.
the ocean. It's called Puerto Rico. He didn't lead into that joke at all. He just is like, ha, racism. Um, but no, like
Yeah,
it's actually crazy. So Pennsylvania has nearly 1 million Puerto Ricans in it, and Puerto Ricans, from Ray Nervaez Jr. Puerto
Puerto Rican
Ricans
Thunder.
are really proud of being from Puerto Rico. They
They're
really,
proud
they
people.
really like Puerto Rico. I will say this: Latin Americans fucking love their countries, and
Yeah.
I think they're probably the most nationalistic and patriotic people in the planet. Is like Latin American people, and it's
It's a
not even.
double-edged sword there.
And I say good for them. Good for them. Fuck yeah.
It's a double-edged sword there.
No, I'm gonna say fuck it. Good for them. Um,
We all know where nationalism
we know, we
eventually
know, we know, but
ends.
it's Latin America. What the fuck even happens down
But
there?
but but I feel, right? There's a difference between being proud of your country and proud of your culture.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
I
Part of the
feel like
culture.
many of them are proud of their culture. I don't feel like many of them are nationalistic.
That's true. That's true. That's fair. I should have specified the culture part. Yeah, because I think they're proud of being. I am from Colombia. My family's been here for like 12 generations. We love this country. Um, yeah. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, Puerto Ricans love Puerto Rico, and they do not like Puerto Rico. I have not seen a single Puerto Rican defend that comment, and it really helps too that like even the Republicans are like, no, we don't stand by, because they know it's unviable to be running against like actively being racist towards like the people you need, because Trump has like the white vote for like white men, like I think most white men, probably like 55 to 45 vote Republican, I think is the axis of that. um so like the votes that Trump needs are like minority votes. Hispanic probably being the biggest. Because a lot of the swing states that he's trying to win have a large Hispanic population, Pennsylvania and Georgia. Well, I don't think it has a huge one. Georgia has a large black population.
It does.
It has a really
For
big black
for what
population.
for what the outside
I
world's
think Georgia has the
perception of
biggest.
Georgia
I think
is,
Georgia has the biggest black
it,
population of all the states.
yeah, like, but when you
Georgia,
think when
Atlanta.
people think of Georgia, that's not what comes to mind.
What do they think of?
White Georgians.
Oh, yeah. When I think of Georgia, I think of Atlanta, and I think of like a lot of black culture and stuff. That's what I think of when I think of Georgia. Oh, I do.
Because when I think of like the some of the black culture in America, I think of like New Orleans.
New Orleans is a big one. New Orleans. New
New
Orleans.
Orleans definitely.
Oakland.
Oakland,
Can't. Was the fucking city? Compton. Like
Compton.
L.A. That whole area. San Francisco and L.A. California.
LA doesn't feel like LA feels very multicultural.
L.A. is extremely multicultural. It's probably the one
And
thing
I
about
think
L.A. that's good.
a lot of it is because of its distance to Mexico, I think.
Yeah, LA is a large, like obviously a white population, large black population, large Mexican, like Hispanic population, large Jewish population, like very multicultural city.
Everybody from every corner of the world. But isn't the joke there that nobody's actually from LA?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like the running joke
Like
there. Like no
nobody's
one's from
actually
LA.
from LA. Everybody's from somewhere else. They just live there.
Yeah. Oh wow. I want to move to New York. Anyway,
The
the election, the
election.
election,
The
the election.
election. So
Fuck.
the right is definitely trying to cheat.
Oh yeah, no, they have like
Like,
shit set up in
I
Georgia.
can't say whether they're getting it right or not, but they're
So
certainly making a fucking effort.
they had that thing passed in the Georgia electors, like, oh yeah, we'll hand count all the votes, and I'm pretty sure the Georgian courts struck that down, so they have to count the election like everyone else's. But that hand count was supposed to be a way where it's like, oh, we'll hand count the votes, and then they could like easily rig it or be like, hey, no, if it voted for Kamala, that means it's wrong. We have to recount, and then it's like, oh, hey, look at that. 30,000 more votes just came in for Trump. Who would have thought? These were being actually withheld by the Kamala voters.
Wasn't that like actively the W. Bush campaign? Like
uh,
the first Bush campaign was just like, we'll recount,
that was
yeah.
Ohio. Yeah, that was Ohio.
Was it Florida that was the
Ohio
problem?
and Florida, I'm pretty sure, were the two that were like recounting. Ohio had a fuck ton of recounts during 2000, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly.
So Trump is actively trying to steal it, and somebody pointed this out somewhere. I watched a video. I don't remember which person it was,
Probably
but they
someone
pointed
knows.
out like this should be illegal.
Oh, Vosh.
Like this part.
Because
Not even
Vosh has
like
been going
well,
on that, like,
probably
arrest them
Bosch.
all.
Yeah, but it's like stealing the election, right?
Right,
Doing it is obviously illegal.
right.
But why is attempting to do it
Yeah, like,
just okay?
yeah, like what Vosh brought this up on a stream like 2 nights ago or whatever, but he was like, if I went and like threatened to shoot up a building, that would be a crime. But saying that you're going to overthrow the election, where you're plotting to overthrow the election, isn't a crime, or at least isn't being prosecuted as a crime. Like, this should be prosecuted. There's functionally no difference. Like, if we're talking about like acting on like a threat and then acting on it, there's really like no difference between what the Republicans are doing and like fucking like what a mass shooter's doing on like Facebook, right? Like, like like if like Hitler did the beer hall putsch, right, and got arrested for it. I think if
Yeah.
Trump did a fucking beer hall putsch, he wouldn't get arrested for it.
Well, didn't he kind of technically try-ish?
Yeah, January 6th.
Jan 6th.
And no one, only, like, the thing with January 6th is only the people who were actually there were getting arrested. And even then, not all of them. Like,
Yeah.
Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, fucking any
But by
single
this
person. I think
merit,
Ted Cruz is like the first person on Jan 6th. I don't know why, but it's the first
by
time he goes
this
by.
merit, at least for the last 100 years, right?
Right.
Would this not make Kamala the most popular Democrat with Republicans? Because anybody who's not buying the mega
No.
boat,
No.
anybody who's not riding the mega boat, is starting like a lot of people who worked directly under
In the past
Trump.
100 years, FDR. Like, they're
Fair.
like if we're going
But
100 years, like, that's a lot of Democrats who had a whole swing. Like, in the past 100 years, that's what every single time the Democrats have had like full sweeping elections. There's been several, like, there's been a lot of Democrats who are really popular with Republicans. Honestly, the Democrats who are most unpopular are the ones who win the Republican nominee. Like, Republicans like them, but Democrat voters hate them, like LBJ. Like, I'm sure a lot of Republicans liked LBJ because he was like a war hawk going into like Vietnam, but because of that same thing, a lot of Democrats did not like LBJ for that. If I'm like I haven't actually read up on that. I'd have to actually like go and like check like polling and stuff from that time, but if I were to estimate and like assume based on like the policy of the time of like other politicians, then I'm like, yeah, I don't think LBJ would have been too popular with Democrats. Well, like, yeah, there's other instances of that too, like hold on, wait, I just forgot his name. Whatever, it doesn't matter. it doesn't matter. Truman. I feel like Truman was probably popular with some Republicans too.
Harry.
Maybe. Mostly because of Cold War stuff. But you know, Kamala is probably one of the most disliked presidents by Republicans because Republicans are 90. I'm sure, like, the thing is, the Democratic Party are so like dead set on trying to win over Republicans that aren't MAGA, and that's like such a big issue because all the ones who aren't MAGA are already voting for Kamala or not voting.
Yeah.
So like they keep trying to go for this like 10 people who are like still undecided voters when they should just be playing into the progressiveness and like amplifying their like progressive base, because that would motivate a lot more voters. Voters are more activated and more like energized by progressive rhetoric because it's like, oh shit, something's actually going to change for once. Like my dad. My dad is fully bought into the idea that like nothing is ever going to change with politics because both parties are horrible. And he's correct in that. He's correct in that. But he doesn't vote because of that. He's not voting for Kamala because of that. Because he's like, Kamala is just going to be the same as every other Democrat president. And it's like, well, if Kamala was more progressive, I feel like he would vote. If Kamala was actually promising to do something different, then he would vote. But instead, they're like, nah, let's get Liz Cheney and go fucking campaign with Liz Cheney. Oh, I hate it so much.
Fucking Cheney.
I almost called him Big Dick Cheney, unironically. Is he still alive?
I don't know, and I hope not.
I think he's still alive.
But something occurs
He's
to
alive.
me about
What the fuck is Dick Cheney doing right now? He's alive. What are you doing, dude? 83.
being old. It occurs to me, though, that the Democratic Party in the US has a very big difference between what it does and what Democrats do.
Wait, can you repeat that again? I was looking at Dick Cheney.
I don't know, I was formulating that as I was saying it, but basically what I'm saying is that a lot of Democrats in America run on certain platforms, they run in certain ways, they start as mayor maybe, they work their way up, and then eventually they get big and they become part of like the big parts of the DNC. And then suddenly the ideas start changing, and it's starting to become very apparent to me that the Democratic Party and the Democrats are two separate forces.
Yes, exactly. A lot of
And the Republicans don't have that issue because the Republicans
always are that. They're always that.
they only have one line in the current time in history. Their line is just like bigotry and
right.
Receding back to older times.
Right.
Like it's not even about conservatism anymore. It's gonna step beyond to receding back.
Yeah, like reactionary politics.
Right. Like even the very statement on what they run with, the Make America Great Again. It's like, at what point are you referring to? The Jim Crow years? The slavery years? What are you trying to bring back here, Donald?
Right.
What is great again mean?
Yeah.
Because what I'm seeing from like Obama, Biden, Kamala now, the idea was we're moving forward, we're bringing people together.
Well,
we are
not Biden.
multicultural.
Not Biden. Biden was like, we'll get away from Trump sort of deal is what he was.
We'll get away from, yeah.
And that's still Kamala kind of is, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that lots of people are pointing out the difference between before Kamala and after Kamala.
Right. So I can tell you why. The DNC is made up of people like Hillary Clinton and Nancy Pelosi.
Jesus.
That's who makes up the DNC. The decision makers and the policymakers of the Democratic Party are your neoliberals. The Clintons, the Pelosi's, all them fucks, like all those old fucks who just are bought out by capital interest, and they don't give a fuck about winning because all they need to do is do whatever their fucking pay pigs tell them to do, right? Like, the Kamala Harris before the DNC was talking about all this progressive stuff. You know, they were talking about the weird line. They were talking about not going back. A lot more like hostile rhetoric towards Trump. I feel that if Kamala was able to keep up this rhetoric after the DNC, because after the DNC she was taking official DNC money. Before that she was using her own money. So she was able to say what she wanted. But after that, she was using DNC money, which means she was now having to cater herself to what the DNC wanted, because the DNC was the one providing her campaign funds. So, like, if Kamala was able to keep up her original rhetoric, we probably would have seen her call Trump a pedophile by now. Like, but now she can't do that because she's getting paid by Clinton. Like, she can't do that anymore because she's getting the Clinton money.
That's so twisted.
I fucking hate Bill Clinton.
Oh, Clinton.
But yeah, the election's kind of fucked. God, next time we record a podcast, we'll have to open it by talking about the election, won't we?
Yep,
People are
we
gonna
will have to
die.
open it.
People are going to get lynched at polling stations in swing states. I'm happy that David
Don't
early
say
voted.
that.
I'm happy that David early voted because I'm scared of him going to the polls. Though he lives in a very blue area, I'm still scared of him like
The thing
going to the
is that
polls.
I feel like even in saying that, it's like let's just like not hope
I'm
that
not
the
hoping that
world's
happens.
first like number one first world country, arguably,
The leader
is
of the
gonna have
world.
a third world election. Please don't fucking do this to us. The
It's gonna
rest of the
happen.
world is
There
watching.
already are people burning polling boxes, like early voting. They're
I
going in with
know,
pipe
this shit
bombs
is
and shit.
fucking
There was a
awful.
guy in Florida with a machete, just going like a Republican kid going up to a polling station with a machete, like brandishing it and like showing it off to people and being like, "I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it." Like it's gonna be horrible. You remember 2020's election, right? With how many conspiracy theories and like threats of violence there were, and even then, the 2020 election is nothing compared to this one.
I remember the first Obama election.
That's like nothing compared to this.
I know, but remember, like, it was a very big thing that he wasn't white.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm aware.
You understand, like,
Yeah,
for a moment there, your country stood on the precipice of something historical
yeah.
and decided not to pull a Germany.
There might be a Germany this election, dude. If Kamala wins, there's gonna be a bloodbath at the Capitol building. They're
But she
going to
also
do a
needs to win
January
twice,
6th
right?
too. No.
She also needs to win. She needs to win the House, doesn't she? Or they'll fight
Well,
it in the House.
yes, but the thing is, um, that happens the same time as Kamala winning, like in general. Like basically,
Yes,
I get
but
what you're saying. I get what you're saying. If she doesn't win the House, it's gonna be a fucking nightmare.
it,
But I
it
feel like she'll
it's still
probably
gonna
win that.
be an uphill battle to actually like drive the final nail in the
I
coffin.
don't
That's all
see
I'm
I don't
saying.
see an outcome here though where Kamala wins the presidency but doesn't win the House. I don't see that happening because
I've
typically
seen enough people
local
mention it
election
that
it
it's enough
could
to
be an
think
issue.
about
It could
when
be an
you
issue.
vote.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anyone who would be voting for like a Democratic president but like not vote for a senator or vote Republican. Like I don't or like a House rep. I don't know anyone who would do that. But like I guess that is a possibility. I just don't see it happening.
Some people just there will be people out there who will vote. I want this president and then fuck off. They will
Yeah,
not fill out the rest.
that's true. That's true.
So like
Ugh.
those people also need to be cognizant of the fact that if they are voting for Kamala, like Kamala does kind of need
She needs the
to win
House.
twice. Like Trump only needs to win one thing,
Yeah, he
and
only
he
needs
will
to win,
fight that one thing to
and
the
he's gonna cheat
end
it.
of the earth.
Yeah. Um, I think if Kamala wins, we're gonna see another January 6th in some way. In some way, Trump
But
voters.
America's prepared now, right?
Yeah, the thing with January 6th was Trump was still the president when that happened.
Yes.
So all the Capitol Hill police and everything answered to him. And he's like, "No, don't do anything. Don't do anything." But it'll be Biden in office when if they do another January 6th before the election. If it's after the election, it's Kamala. But it'll be a Democrat if Trump loses and they try to do another Jan 6th sort of thing. So I feel like there'll be more of an opposition to it, and there'll be more security, there'll be more preparedness. I'm sure that like in January before the inauguration, like public meetings in fucking DC are gonna be illegal because of like you're not gonna be able like no rallies, nothing. You're not allowed to you're not allowed to gather until the election's done because of what happened in 2021. Like I don't know how it'll happen, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of violence if Kamala wins. There'll probably be a lot of violence if Trump wins too, but it'll be violence of like, oh, we won. Let's go fucking
Police
have our
state
boo. Yeah,
violence.
let's go do our booze cruise and smash some fucking mailboxes on the gay people because now we're gonna be
Strap on
fun.
your military boots. We're going marching.
Yeah, we're gonna go curb stomping right now. Like it'll be like a
Like
celebratory wave of
American
violence.
History X all over
Yeah,
again.
it'll be like that. But if Kamala wins, it'll be like a we need to act now. Now is the day of the rope. Now is the day that we we
So,
we
as
we
an
march.
outsider, I have one very important question.
Yes.
When will we know?
When will we know what?
When are the results?
So 2020, I remember Nevada and Georgia taking forever to cast their votes, which are both swing states this election. So it could be like that again. I remember I think it took 24 hours for all the votes to be counted, like around that. It took a whole day for the votes to be counted. We'll know for sure by November 8th,
November
but
8th.
hopefully November 6th. I don't imagine it taking longer than that.
So by like the next weekend.
Yeah, like no later than next weekend, but hopefully by next like Wednesday.
By the time we record, basically,
We should know.
we should know.
It might be the day. We might be recording when they announce it, depending on when we
That'll be
record.
something.
That'd be terrifying. But the thing is, with a lot of election votes, as soon as the swing states get cast, you're like, yeah, all right, we know what's gonna happen. like it's very possible that like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania cast votes for Kamala, and like, oh yeah, no, Kamala won because that's the only way that Kamala can win without like Trump can't win if Kamala gets that because Trump can't get enough votes from the other swing states combined. Like, yeah, there'll be Georgia, but like then Arizona, Nevada aren't enough to like win against Kamala's like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania.
But it ain't over till it's over.
It ain't over till it's over, but like if Kamala gets like enough, if Kamala gets 270 before all the other elections, like that's it, it's done. You're done. You win. Like there's no like if you get 270, the opponent can't get more than you. Like you win.
That's fair.
So like we will know the president before all the votes are casted, but that doesn't mean that there won't be any more revelations that come out afterwards of like, oh, this is where 30 poll workers were hung by a gallows in Wisconsin over here after some fucking militia came by and stormed the poll. Like we don't know what's gonna happen, and that terrifies me. But I'm also like not terrified for my life because like I live in New Jersey. And it's a blue state. Even though I live in a red county, I don't think anyone here can get off their ass for 4 seconds to be bothered to. It's not a very. It's like it's a red county, but it's not as like vitriolically Trump as like a lot of the South is or like Midwest.
Remember, guns make killing people easy. When
And New Jersey has the least amount of guns out of any state, next to like Hawaii.
It still has guns.
It's got like nowhere near as much.
It
as
has
like
the
Wisconsin.
Sopranos.
That's the mob. All right, the mob. That's the mob. They're gone. The mob is gone.
Do you think the mob is voting for Kamala? I think the mob is voting for Kamala.
I think some of
you said the mob is gone. I don't.
Do you
think
see?
The mob is
I think
gone.
they're voting it because they're
not
a lot of them are Italian and like Roman Catholics and stuff, and the Republicans fucking hate Catholics because they think that the Catholics answer to the Pope over the government, so they hate Catholics. So I could totally see some of them being
in
like,
theory they do.
in theory they do. In practice, what are you talking about?
Yeah, in practice, that doesn't mean anything.
In practice, what are you talking about? Excuse me?
But
especially because
in
the
theory,
two Catholic presidents we've had have been Irish Catholic, who I'm pretty sure don't give a fuck about the Pope.
Yeah, they don't.
So like it's really funny when they're like Biden is a slave to the Pope. So it's like, okay, dude. I don't think you know what you're talking about, but okay. Even if he was a Roman Catholic. It's crazy to me that there hasn't been a Catholic president.
JFK.
JFK was the other Irish Catholic, yeah.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a Roman Catholic president. No Italians have made it to office. Have there been a Italian? Who's the? I'm trying to think because it's going to be a president from New York, but I don't think a single. The only presidents from New York, like FDR, Trump, neither of them are Italian.
No.
You know Trump's dad was in the KKK.
Doesn't surprise me.
Fred Trump was arrested when he was like 21 for like being at a KKK rally. Hold on.
Trump.
Fred Trump would have been at the. Would have been at the
related to the fucking marshmallow people.
Personal life, yeah. In May 1927, over 1,000 robed members of the Ku Klux Klan and 400 non-robed supporters infiltrated a Memorial Day parade in Queens, prompting stern police intervention. 8 men were arrested, including 21-year-old Trump, whose charge of refusing to disperse from a parade when ordered to do so was dismissed. 1 man arrested on the same charge was released on the basis of having a bystander whose foot was injured by a police car. Some people's neighbors articles on the incident of Trump's address Despite the arrest, there's no incontrovertible evidence that Trump was a supporter of the case. Wow, Wikipedia. Despite the fact he was arrested at a Klan rally, there's no support to evidence that he was actually a supporter of the KKK. Just that he was there. Yeah, yeah, Fred Trump's fucking evil. He's evil.
Did
Evil.
you ever look into that book written by Donald Trump's like cousin or something?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
She's a therapist.
Trump.
She's
Family of
she's
Donald
like some
Trump.
kind of therapist, and she wrote a book about like growing up with the Trumps because
Ew.
she was related, but she wasn't like mainline, if you get me.
Right.
So she spent a bit of her childhood
This
there, and she
person.
was like, oh,
Mary L. Trump. Not
yeah,
too
that's her.
much and
Yeah,
never
that's
enough.
her. That's it. Basically diving into the psychology of Trump himself and how he is absolutely he is a product of what his father did to him.
Yeah.
Like it's not a defense of him, but it
She's
is a
Donald
sort of like
Trump's
explanation.
she's Donald Trump's niece.
Yeah.
So her father was his brother, Fred Trump Jr.
Yeah.
Um but yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, no, Trump does strike me as a guy who's got like insane daddy issues.
Yeah.
Like
Like
my dad
like his whole presidency is dementia and daddy issues.
yeah, like George Bush to me George W. Bush was always like the I love my dad president, right? He's probably got a lot of daddy issues too.
My
Um
daddy went to war in the Middle East, and so will I.
yeah. But now Trump, I'm like, yeah, Trump's definitely the daddy. I could totally see Trump like everything he knows about business being like an abusive lesson from his dad when he was young.
Yeah.
Like I get like oh my god, it writes itself. He's like a fucking like he's like a character from a Scorsese film.
I remember a video by some kind of financial advisor person, right?
Right.
And they basically went into a lot of his business dealings, his history, and stuff like that. And they came out to the fact that with the amount of money he was given, if you took all of his business failures and business ventures and things that fell apart and all the money he lost and all the money he has now, if he had done nothing and let that sit there and accrue interest instead of all of those other failed ventures and shit, he would have had the same amount of money more or less. He is actively a bad businessman.
He's a horrible businessman. There's a
Like
whole like story about
in
him going to Atlantic City in New Jersey and like building a big casino and it failed horribly and the city kind of fucking died because of it. Like he's
Yeah, and
horrible.
isn't part of the joke also that no other New York businesses really want to work with him
Yeah,
at all?
yeah. No one wants to work with him because
Like he can't get work
he
in New
doesn't
York.
pay people and he doesn't like he sells people out. He fucking abandons them with projects that they can't finish on their own because he's like I don't want to do it anymore. He's horrible. New York. He's
It was a bad
like
deal.
when his stuff got divested. I remember. I don't know if I remember hearing it very like loudly, but I remember people being like, "Good, he's finally fucking out of New York." Like when he had to like give up all of his businesses to like become president. I remember people like being like, "Oh yeah, good, good. He's finally fucking gone." He
He
sucks.
didn't
He's a
really divest.
well, what?
I mean, do you really think he gave up like the real
No, like
reins there behind the scenes?
I mean, Jimmy Carter had to give up his peanut farm.
Yeah, and Trump is still run by Trumps.
My peanut farm. I had to give up my peanut farm to become president. My peanut farm, bro. They took my damn peanut farm away. They took it away and
What a
then
fucking crazy person.
what?
What a fucking crazy person.
Jimmy Carter?
No, Trump.
Oh,
He's like inches away from being president again.
Yeah. This election should not be this close. This is a complete.
It really shouldn't.
I blame everything about this election being close on the liberals.
But I mean, it's also the differing standards here, because whenever I see people criticize
It's liberals' fault.
Trump,
It's liberals' fault.
they criticize Trump on like, he's racist, he's bigoted, he's this, and it's like he's saying all these outlandish, wild things sometimes that don't even make logical sense.
The issue is, like, you can't make fun of him.
And then when they criticize Kamala, it's like, I don't agree with this particular policy, and she seems to have quite a good answer here, but I don't quite agree with the way she's doing. Like, it's a very highbrow level of criticism. But whenever they criticize Trump, it's like all lowbrow bullshit.
Here's the issue of it. They don't have the ability to do any sort of like solid like completely like solid line of critique, because if they go on the senility and age, they just had Biden nominated. They can't make fun of that because they were doing that. They can't. So they used to talk about the border back when Trump was in office, like, oh no, Trump's inhumane on the border. But since Biden came in office, they completely shifted to the right on the border. So now they want to criticize the border, they have to be criticizing themselves. They can't do anything. That means all the stuff about racism is out the window, and all the stuff about national security that Trump talks about, and talking about the migrant crisis that Trump basically made up. They can't talk about that because they fucking kowtowed to them, believed it. They can't talk about his dealings with dictators overseas because Biden's friends with fucking Netanyahu. So they can't talk about dictators because then they'd have to talk about Netanyahu. But like, they do talk about it, but then they're like, oh yeah, no, conveniently, we'll just shut up whenever Israel gets brought up. Like, there's no line of argument that they can really make to stick against Trump that isn't just, oh, he's racist and a bigot and an idiot.
Democrats, I think the biggest Democrat problem really sounds like they just have no politics.
They have no politics. They don't give a fuck. The Democrats are horrible. They're ineffectual, liberal, coastal fucks who don't give a fuck. They're all big money people. They don't give a shit. The Democrats are a right-wing party, and so are the Republicans, and that's the issue with American politics. Neither of them have any interest in fixing anything. All they care about is doing the shit that their business interests are, all the stuff about their business interests. And they kill progressive populism, and then in its replacement for progressive populism or leftist populism is fucking fascism. Because when there's no leftist base, when there's no progressive base, people revert to fucking fascism. Because that's the only thing that'll answer their questions about fucking ineffectual institutionalism is fascism. It's horrible.
Say what you will, but fascism is very effective.
It's very effective at motivating people because it's the same rhetoric a lot of the times as leftist movements. That you're not given what you're owed. They're not working in your interest. We need to work against the class that rules us. Not class. Fascists don't use class rhetoric. We need to work against the people who rule us because they're not working in our interest, and replace them with ourselves. But with leftist rhetoric, it comes around class analysis and like relation of wealth and like interests of like classes. But with fascists, it's like race and like the out group, the outsiders, they're ruling us. There's a hidden group against us, and that's the fucking issue. Is that like functionally, it's the same rhetoric, and it comes from like the same place. And like, oh my god, I hate the Democrats. I hate them so much. I hate them.
So Americans need to stop hating communism, like as a default.
Yeah, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. America,
Just because every famous and big example of communism being implemented in the world is actually awful and is more fascism than anything else, doesn't mean that America needs to, by default, hate communism.
The issue with it too is that Americans don't know what communism is. They'll see free healthcare as communism. Like, that's not even a meme. Like, that's just real.
It's incredibly stupid.
They're so dumb. It's because of the education system. Because forever, a lot of Americans grew up on like Cold War era education. So it's like, communism is when the government takes away everything and gives you a spoon, and capitalism is when you are able to do whatever you want. That's what Americans are like, fucking raised on. That's what I was raised on. I showed you that econ book. I showed you that fucking econ book.
Your econ stuff scared me. Like, it's existentially
that's like the second episode of the podcast is that econ book.
Yeah, that's I still have nightmares. But
It's
what the
really
fuck did
bad.
those
It's
people are
it's it's
learning?
been like that this whole entire time, by the way. Every single time I take an econ assignment, it's still been like that. I just haven't been talking about it because it's just so tiring to talk about.
That is incredibly bad.
But yeah, America's fucked. There's nothing we can do. But Jade, uh,
See you next time
yeah,
when you know who the next
no,
president will
I
be.
want to leave. Oh, there's one last thing I forgot to talk about. One last thing I forgot to talk about.
All right.
So, the Marvel binge, which has been a constant theme on this
Ah, yeah.
podcast. I finally got to a movie that I
That you
could
tapped
not
out.
finish. I could not finish it.
You tapped out.
Venom from
What a good
2018.
movie.
It's really bad. I was like, because like in the stretch of movies that it's surrounded, so it's in between uh Ant-Man and the Wasp and after it's Captain Marvel. And I was like, oh, those movies are gonna suck. But then I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it's like it held my attention. I wasn't, maybe it's because of Paul Rudd and like Michael Douglas and shit. Like it's got a good cast that like will work well together, I guess. So there at least some entertainingness there. But like, oh, and Lawrence Fishburne is in it.
Lawrence.
They hold the screen enough to where it's like, oh, okay, they're a little funny, they're a little silly in the movie. But like, I watch Venom and it's like, oh my god, there's still 40 minutes of this movie left. No, I'm not doing that, and I just skipped to the end. Like I could not handle it. Like I was like, the movie takes fucking forever to get started, and most of it, like the best part of the movie is Tom Hardy's performance as just a fucking washed up, like I am going insane. I haven't showered in a year. Like his performance, it's really funny, but like other than that, the movie is just nothing. The villain is like a really uncharismatic, like he's trying to be like Elon Musk, but like not like how we see Elon Musk as a blithering fucking idiot, but as like 2018 saw Elon Musk. So he's trying to be like the charismatic, funny Elon Musk, but he's also not charismatic or funny. So it's like this really funny, like three loops of trying to be a character and none of it are working. And the it just sucks. I was just like, oh my god, you could like there was a part where I was like, okay, now they're gonna go and fight the final villain. Now I was like, nope, now there's 30 minutes of talking, and I'm like, nope, that's it, I'm done. And I just skipped to the end, and yeah, it did not need to be 2 hours long. It did not need to be 2 hours long. All these MCU movies are so fucking long. When I got to Deadpool and it was only an hour and a half long, I was like, oh my god, oh, like they're all like 2 hours and 10 minutes long. It's like you don't need to be this long. You don't need
Tom
to be this long.
Hardy is a good actor. I like Tom Hardy, but Tom Hardy is a very strange fellow.
Is this him from what the fuck was it?
Star
Star
Trek.
yeah, Star Trek, where he played like a younger Picard or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird choice. Anyway, Venom fucking sucked. Next is Captain Marvel, which I think I'm just gonna edit my YouTube video project that I've been working on. I'm just gonna edit it while watching Captain Marvel because I do not fucking give a fuck about Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's an airplane movie. You know what I mean? Like I've heard it described as that, and I feel like that's a good description. It's a movie you
Makes
watch on a
sense.
plane where
Makes
you
sense.
have your volume lowered and you have to like keep yourself like in the setting of a plane. It's an airplane movie. It does, no one gives a fuck about Captain Marvel. Nobody returns to Captain Marvel for any reason other than like, oh, I haven't seen it before, or I'm doing a binge of like Marvel movies. Nobody watches Captain Marvel, just throw it on. Why would you? Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. I don't know. It was another one I skipped.
Yeah, I think it was the first movie I skipped too. Was Captain Marvel. I think I should skipped Ant-Man and the Wasp when it came out. Well, actually, I shouldn't say I skipped because I didn't watch a lot of Phase 1 and 2. It's just that during Phase 3, I really wrapped into it, and I think I saw most Phase 3 movies as they were coming out, or at least was watching videos on them to make sure I wasn't like, if I couldn't see it in theaters and I was going to watch a video, so I was like prepared for what was coming up. Like, I saw most of the Phase 3 movies. The only ones I missed were Black Panther and, like pre-Infinity War, Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok were the only two I missed in theaters for Phase 3. But all the other ones I made it to. And then after Infinity War, I didn't watch any other Marvel movie until Endgame came out. And then I think after that I went back and watched Ant-Man and the Wasp. But yeah, the binge has been fun, but I'm entering the dark times where there's really nothing to look forward to.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a
no,
few. There's a few.
nothing good ahead.
Black Panther 2. There's the Sam Raimi directed Doctor Strange 2.
Speaking of,
Want to talk about
you,
Evil
you
Dead?
did watch a good movie.
You want to talk about Evil Dead? Okay. Yeah, Jade and me watched Evil Dead for the first time the other night, and I was just gushing over how good it was. I know Evil Dead isn't like regarded as the best of the trilogy, and like a lot of people say it's got a lot of issues, but like for the first time I've ever seen an Evil Dead movie, and for the first time I've seen a Sam Raimi movie that wasn't a Spider-Man movie. Oh my god, I loved it so much. And it's entirely due to the cinematography. I love the camera work. I love the lighting of it. I love the use of color in a lot of scenes. The PO, the fucking the one thing that I loved the most about the camera work was that sometimes the camera was used to show the POV of someone who was actually like existing as a character in the film, like a deadite or something. It was showing the perspective of them, and sometimes it was just the camera. It was just what we're seeing. So like sometimes you're watching it stalk someone, and you don't know if it's an actual person you're looking at, if it's like something sneaking up on a character, or if it's just the camera. And I thought that was really good because it makes you just feel like uncomfortable the whole movie as you're like, is someone watching the characters or is it just the camera? It's so good. It's so good. I love it.
Well, the idea is like, especially like there's a really good tracking shot. I know you'll remember what I'm talking about. There's a really good tracking shot that's outside the
Yeah,
cabin.
window to window.
It looks window to window
Yeah,
and then to the outdoors.
yeah. I
Like,
was thinking of that one as I was describing that.
yeah. So the idea is that the camera is also the POV of that pure entity of darkness, because
Yes.
the Evil Dead goes beyond just the Deadites.
Yeah.
There is an actual force of darkness. You see it in what it does to the bridge. You see it in,
Yeah.
let's
The
not go there,
trees.
but like with the trees. But like, the actual force of darkness. Like when you see the camera push in later in the movie, and it pushes right through the window and
Yeah.
breaks the window.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's something is out there that is beyond just the physical, and that's a part of the
And that's
Evil
what
Dead.
also hits him at
Like
the end too.
the lore of the Evil Dead is actually really good.
Yeah, I wanna watch all the movies, the show, and the remake. I want to watch all of them because it's like, oh fuck
I
yeah.
I am there with you for all of it, because if nothing else, more Bruce Campbell.
Oh fuck yeah. Except for the remake, but the remake makes up for that
So
because I've heard it's really good.
the reboot, it's not really a remake as much as a reboot, but not to spoil anything, there is interdimensionality, and I think I did tell you about the idea to combine the Bruce Campbell universe with the reboot universe and bring them together to fight the Evil Dead at some point as well, but Bruce Campbell aged out of the
I
role.
remember, yeah, I remember being like, I don't want to do this anymore because I'm old.
Yeah, he's just like, I can't do Ash Williams anymore. Like it's just, Ash versus Evil Dead was fun, but like this is getting like
Yeah, yeah. I wish I was more in
massive
the
respect
Halloween
for
mood.
Bruce Campbell.
I wish I got more in the Halloween mood last month because like I didn't really watch many horror movies. I watched VHS 94, Evil Dead, and like that's it. I didn't watch a lot of. I watched The Thing. I think at some point. I didn't watch the full thing. I just like watched half of it while like my parents had it on in the room, and I was like making lunch or something. But like,
Yeah, we didn't even get to more Hellraiser.
oh yeah, I wanted to watch Hellraiser 2 at some point.
Yeah,
We were gonna do a Tim
I've
Burton
seen one
marathon.
twice now.
Oh, Hellraiser 1 is so fucking good. That's like one of my favorite horror movies. I need to read Clive Barker's books. I think I would love them based on like his
Just,
themes and
just,
use and stuff and like his
just
movies in the movie.
remember that there's a reason people like Stephen King's movies more than his books.
Oh, I know. But like the
Like
themes, no,
just because a
I've
writer has like themes and stuff that are on point doesn't mean that you'll enjoy their
but
writing.
I've heard good things about his writing. from people that I trust the opinions of, like people that I value the opinions of, because I agree with their
Fair
opinions on
enough.
things that I can actually like give an opinion on. So like I'm like, oh, this person is saying that Clive Barker, like he has a Clive Barker book and his background shot of his videos. That probably means that he really like he's got fucking Cormac McCarthy up there too, and I love Cormac McCarthy. So like Clive Barker's probably also gonna be good. So I want to read some of his books. I'll probably read the book that was like the inspiration for Hellraiser first, because then I could like do a 1-to-1 comparison of the movie and the book, and like that's like a good way to start it with, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a good recommendation, I think, for like an author. If you want to read a person's work and they have a movie that you like, probably just read the book that the movie's based on. Like Michael Crichton, go read Jurassic Park if you want to read Michael Crichton. Which I do. If you want to read a book, I recommend reading something by Michael Crichton, either Jurassic Park or Andromeda Strain. But Andromeda Strain's a little boring. It's got a lot of tech stuff in it. But if you like sci-fi, computer nerd fucking books, and you want to read something about like the dangers of science, go read Michael Crichton. He's really good. A lot of his books got adapted into movies, but most of them are bad, except for like the Jurassic Park movie. Like Jurassic Park, and Lost World Jurassic Park are the only two ones there that I'd actually recommend. And even then, Lost World's like a bad fun movie. Congo fucking sucks. Have you ever seen Congo with Tim Curry?
No.
It's about a gorilla that has like a robot arm that can speak if it does sign language. And then they go to the jungle, and there's evil apes, and Tim Curry's doing a really bad like Romanian accent the whole
Tim
movie.
Curry.
And he gets his head smashed in by a
It's
gorilla.
usually worth watching just to see Tim Curry chew the scenery.
Oh, Tim Curry! I think the movie's absolutely worth watching just for Tim Curry alone. He plays like the villain.
Just some actors like I will never play. What's the game? Come on, what's it? Red Alert, Command and Conquer.
Oh, Command and Conquer, Red Alert. It's
Command and Conquer, Red Alert. Yeah, like I will never play that game. I don't play RTS games. Like it's not.
He's in the third one, I believe, or the second one.
But I will watch every cutscene.
Space. We're going to the last place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space. Yeah, those games are fucking insane. I have to show you a video by a guy I really like about those games, because I feel like you'd like it if you just want to watch him like talk about Tim Curry.
I think Tim Curry is one of the few people who can do that style of comedy and not annoy me.
Like Clue. I fucking love Clue. That's probably like one of the best like movies that's just like, why does this exist? Like, why is there a Clue movie? But it works. It's really funny.
But
yeah, we gotta wrap up, don't we?
We do.
We do gotta wrap up.
It's a good ending, though.
This is a good length. This is a good length of the episode, I think. We finally like this not too long, not too short. This is a good length. All right.
Well done.
All right.
What is this number?
This is episode 13. 13 weeks.
Jeez, we're doing this.
Yeah, this is like a thing we do now. I remember when you suggested that we do this, when I was playing Fallout 3 on stream, and you're like, "Want to do a podcast?" And I'm like, "I'd love to do a podcast." And you're like, "Yay!"
Yeah, well, I tried to get a couple off the ground before, and they're just like, nobody comes through. You're the first.
Wow, the terminally online autist really wants to do a podcast. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? But yeah, everyone.
Thank you for all the people who joined for these 13 episodes.
Yes, and thank you for me as well. It's very entertaining to do this. I mean, it's fun to do. Even if these got 0 views, I'd still record them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, everybody, have a good rest of your day. Enjoy November, the crisp autumn air, or spring air if you're in Jade's part of the world. Alright. We'll see you next time. Don't die.